We warned everybody. Did we not warn everybody?
We did.
But
we tried
everybody
to.
was sipping the burgundy and gold Kool-Aid.
Yeah. I
And
had
they
a big
picked
old dose of
the
it.
Commanders. There was a lot of confidence from Cakes and EB in particular, but
Lot
the
of
boys
bluster.
behind the glass, they all went with the Commanders in close games, and there was a dose of reality on Sunday.
What was the poll when you did the poll on Friday?
It was close to 50-50.
That was 50-50.
54%.
So you could say everybody in here, but for the public was 50-50.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, our listeners are Commanders fans. I think it ended up being 52-48. I could be wrong, but close to 50-50. It was a dose of reality. The worst defense in the league a year ago still stinks.
Hasn't really gotten any better. Maybe it's taken a step back.
Maybe even worse.
Be honest with you.
And again, when you churn over your roster as much as the front office and Adam Peters had to do, I mean, do you expect the 85 Bears defense to take the field in week 1? I didn't expect that. Now, I didn't expect them to give up almost 40, but it was
the thing
more
that
to save
they
from
made
last
they
year.
made Baker Mayfield look like Peyton Manning.
They made him look like
he
Patrick
dominated.
Mahomes.
He dominated the game.
And we kind
Tip the cap.
of talked about the receivers going into the week, how they would give Washington secondary some issues,
and they did.
And they certainly did.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
this Tampa team rolled up almost 400 total yards, and it was.
But
defensively, they were really, really
to your
bad.
point, they made a good to pretty good quarterback look like a first ballot Hall of Famer quarterback.
Yeah, he had an
yesterday.
unbelievable day.
Because
unbelievable.
they anytime they would bring pressure, he would sidestep
escape it.
They would miss him.
Yeah.
Like they just. I know there was a lot of talk from Dan Quinn and the coaching staff about we're going to be violent, we're going to execute, we're going to meet players in the hole and blah blah blah. Didn't see a lot of that yesterday. Hopefully that gets tidied up this week going forward. But a lot of missed opportunities to make defensive plays, put Baker on the ground that just went by the wayside.
There's a lot that you could point to and be disappointed with. That was the most disappointing to me, was that the defense was like really bad. We knew the corners, and he said going in, Evan's going to have touchdowns. Probably those other guys will do well. I did not think the interior line wouldn't be able to close, wouldn't be able to tackle. Frankie Louvu was invisible virtually.
I was surprised by that.
Very, very disappointed. I just felt like, even though in the numbers it doesn't show it, I just felt like we were getting gutted right up the middle.
I mean, there were at least
right up the middle.
There were at least one opportunity each where Payne and Allen had Baker Mayfield. Like they had him for like a 7 or 8 yard loss. Instead, he slips his way out of it, or dumps the ball off, or finds somebody downfield because of course the secondary can't cover anybody.
Yeah,
I mean.
There was a lot, though. You could point to stuff everywhere. The passing game never got going. I wish they had used Eckler more. I wish, obviously, they had used Terry more. None of the receivers were really a factor.
Yeah.
I actually was disappointed in the offense of philosophy. I didn't see the up-tempo stuff that we saw a little bit in the preseason. I was thrilled with Jayden's competitiveness and his running. I have no question.
I
think he's a star.
Yeah.
He didn't show it passing-wise yet. Don't worry.
He will.
He will.
Eventually he will.
He's a star. But everything else, whoo.
But the legs automatically make him a borderline star.
I mean, he's so fun to watch.
Now, do you want him rushing?
The problem is he takes a lot of hits.
He takes a lot of hits. Helmet pops off all the time.
He's a donk the way he rolls around. I don't understand that. But
no, he showed what he's going to be. I mean, offensively,
teams have to account for him.
When he gets bounced out of the pocket, I mean, it's almost impossible to tackle behind the line of scrimmage. But their leading receiver, wide receiver, had 3 catches. And that was not Terry McLaurin.
Luke McCaffrey.
That was Luke McCaffrey. Yeah.
No, their lack of wide receivers is something we talked about.
We did.
And EB says, well, they got enough weapons. I'm sorry, they don't.
Well,
but to me,
I'm not going to write that off after one. I'm not going to write the passing game off after one.
You can look at a million different angles, and we will talk about every angle from the defense, the offensive line, to the kicker. I look at one stat.
Yeah.
Third downs.
Oh.
They allowed 9 out of 13 third down conversions, and I don't believe that includes the penalties.
Probably
I have
does
to go
not.
back and look at that.
If you allow 9 of 13 on third downs, I would guess the chances of you winning the game are under 10%.
Yeah,
because it just means your defense
because you don't have the ball.
Yeah, you don't have the ball. Defense is out on the field. They're getting gassed.
It was very disappointing. Very disappointing.
But not surprising because we knew the secondary was the biggest issue.
Yeah, but
and we also knew
that
the pass rushers, it's questionable.
Dorrance
Armstrong,
They had
Fowler,
penetration
a couple times, but if you watch every NFL game, there's penetration. Quarterbacks get out of things like that. You got to be able to close.
Not as many times as Baker did
yesterday. I thought Baker was exceptional yesterday. You could say we made him look exceptional, sure, but he was
on point.
Baller
he was on point yesterday.
Yeah, and he's a pretty good quarterback.
We had him flushed. And we had him right there, and we just couldn't tackle him.
It seemed like
tackling was
horrific.
It was abysmal.
They were able to. They used a lot of screen passes, like to Rashad White. And
their screen passes were so
really
effective.
Bucky Irving.
And then they had the change of pace with Bucky Irving, who's got speed. The rookie out of Oregon. I mean, they just had so many more weapons.
When your best cornerback that you're hyping up is a rookie, and I'm talking about Sanders still, and he's got to go one-on-one with Chris Godwin in the slot. I don't care how good Sanders still is or how good he's looked in training camp in the preseason. He's going up against a seasoned NFL wideout.
And Forbes
just going to make his life
Forbes
miserable.
Struggled again, too.
Oh, well, I mean,
I'm this close to giving up on Forbes. I've tried to be positive.
Well,
but man,
I think the staff is that close to giving up on Emmanuel Forbes.
I don't want to give up on him, but man,
I'm sorry. I'm not going to give them the pass rush. I know there were occasions where Baker Mayfield slipped out, but take a look at the touchdown pass to Evans, the first one. Take a look at the touchdown pass to the rookie. Clean pockets. For the most part, that guy was comfortable in the pocket and picked them apart.
Okay,
yeah, he did.
I don't know if you want to call it pass
24
rush.
for 30.
I thought we had penetration from the interior of the line. I thought Jamin flashed. The other guys, sure. The other ends, I don't think they really flashed. But I thought the one thing the interior of the line did well was they penetrated, but then they never tackled. And then I thought they were. The negative was they were just gutted up the middle running.
He was hit 4 times. That's it.
But, well, he should have been hit 10 because they were right
4
there.
times.
They should have been hit 10. They were right there, and they didn't hit him. They were right there.
That I agree. It was maddening watching.
Maddening.
It was like there are 3 guys around him, and he's somehow gonna.
He should have been
escape.
hit. He should have been tackled.
What
he should have been sacked 5 times. He literally should have been sacked 5 times.
Yeah, I mean, look, they weren't good defensively.
Like 3 to 4
they
easily.
weren't good.
And I was stunned by it. I shouldn't be stunned by it. I got to stop expecting greatness from that middle of that line. I don't care. Love John. Love Duran. It's not living up to the hype of late.
Definitely fair. Definitely a fair critique.
Yeah.
They have to do more. The other thing about the game plan, I didn't tally it. We wondered about this in the preseason, and there are those that have done deep dives into Cliff Kingsbury's offense.
Mm-hmm.
How many screen passes do we need to see?
I need to see more.
Are they going to throw downfield ever?
I need to see more downfield shots. Now, I understand that it's a function of leaky offensive line.
They tried a couple times.
I mean, the one that jumps out was the one he threw 12 yards out of bounds to McLaurin down the side.
Well, he missed McLaurin by a couple yards in the second one, too.
Yeah.
But there were no intermediate passes.
No,
it was almost, okay, took a couple deep shots.
Mm-hmm.
But there was nothing like a 15-yard pass. You know how many times you saw Baker drop back and throw a 15-yarder? I saw none of that in Cliff Kingsbury's offense. Now, is that because Jayden didn't see guys?
Could be.
Were guys not open?
Could be.
Or is the system? I'm sure it's a combination.
Sure, it's a combination. But Kingsbury did not distinguish himself. I'm going to say that right now.
Right.
Kingsbury's under this guy's microscope.
Already?
He didn't distinguish himself much from Bieniemy. I thought Bieniemy was the worst ever. I'm not saying Kingsbury is, but he might be in the running. Didn't love that debut from Kingsbury.
Hey, Daniels only passed 24 times. At least he didn't have him passing 70% of the time like Bieniemy.
That is true. He did. You could say he balanced it.
He did balance
There was a better balance. And I do think, again, I didn't rewatch it. It seemed like they were doing a lot of like max protect things, and they didn't have as many receivers out there. Like, so maybe that's part of the reason why we didn't get some stuff downfield. So he did seem to value protection.
Yeah.
But other than that,
but again, we
didn't love it.
We don't know because we're not sitting in the film room.
That's true.
No.
I mean, there could have been guys that Kingsbury goes, JD,
right?
The guy's wide open right there across the middle. What are you looking at?
Well, you could say that about the McLaurin thing where he didn't connect with him.
Yeah. Also, like Noah Brown was in street clothes, and look, I'm not saying Noah Brown is Cooper Kupp, but he'll help the offense once he's up and running and he's actually out on the field.
Maybe.
There's a reason they acquired him.
Maybe. Well, there's a reason they acquired him. I said this is because they didn't have confidence in De'Ami Brown, who had
understood.
0 catches and 0 targets.
Like
All that talk. This is why. Look, maybe you'll be proven right, but this is why I think history matters. When you said they've got enough weapons, look at what Oz is doing. He's never had more than 40 catches in a season. So to me,
a disappointment.
It's not surprising the guy had 1 catch for 15 yards.
I admit he was a disappointment.
And then De'Ami Brown, again, there's a history. He's never had more than 12 catches. Well, there's a reason, EB. They're not good.
Here are the guys that matter going forward. Eckler, they're going to lean into him more.
Right.
Ertz, going to lean into him more.
Agreed.
They
got to target Terry 3 times each quarter.
Well,
what are they doing?
Of course, that's a no-brainer. That
stupid.
has to be the priority. I'm not worried about those 4th and 5th wideouts. I'm worried about, like,
the problem is, Cakes.
Eckler needs to be targeted, like, 7 or 8 times.
Cakes, the problem is those 4th and 5th wideouts, they're their number 2 and their number 3 wideouts.
JP, I understand. And again.
But they might have to make up for it with tight end plays, is what he's saying, and other things.
This is not a recalibrate. Everybody in the front office loves to say that. This is a rebuild.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is a rebuild. I got over my skis picking 10 games.
All right, so now you're backtracking.
Well, what are you going to do?
Okay.
I'm
picking him this week. I don't give an F. I'm picking him this week.
I'm not
Eric,
that's a week-to-week league. I'm picking him this week.
Like I predicted before the season, Eckler's going to be their leading receiver.
He probably will be.
They way underutilized
in the first month.
He looked great.
I think they got to throw to him a bunch of times.
He looked great.
The Bucs are fine.
But let me just say this. Their receivers are going to be an issue the entire season.
It looks like it.
But the rest of this
unless they face a really bad secondary.
The Giants here should win that. Giants.
They're going to win this weekend.
Yesterday.
They're going to win this.
They get the Bengals, who everybody was hyping up.
Don't even talk to me about them.
Apparently they suck, and the Arizona Cardinals very beatable. So not going down with the ship.
Remember, this is a week-to-week league.
Pretty good.
This is a week-to-week league. Let's see what happens.
Kyler looked good for the first quarter and a half, and then they let Josh Allen go crazy. He didn't do much.
Yeah. Well, it was defensively they were bad. Daniels was the only reason they scored 20 points.
Only bright spot.
I got to tell you, I absolutely loved watching Jayden. I was disappointed the entire game.
When he runs, he's really fun to watch.
He kept me interested. Yeah. He was the bright spot. Sure, the passing game didn't develop.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't blame him. I have no concerns about him. I think he'll be fine as a passer.
But the offense in general, I mean, they had 7 points with 1:50 left in the third quarter.
Right.
The offense in general sucked.
Right.
It was all Jayden just creating.
When he gets bounced out, he can get you 15, 17 yards. But you can't rely on that every single week.
Kingsbury sucked.
Well, hold on. But we don't know.
I'm pretty sure he sucked this week.
I'm pretty sure. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm pretty sure Dan Quinn sucked.
And here's the other thing.
I'm pretty sure he sucked.
Here's the other thing.
Doesn't mean he sucked.
This is why you can't put a lot of stock into preseason numbers because when the starting lineup's not out there for more than 5 minutes, now they got to go out and play 60 minutes against legit competition. You don't know what to expect.
Well, you do know how to manage the clock.
Yeah.
You do know how to not let it just bleed at the end of the first half. What are you doing?
Know that.
There's nowhere. They're right there on the goal line. They're either going to score or they're not. Call the effing timeout. Let's use our superstar and try to get down there and kick a field goal to respond. What are they doing?
Kick a field goal. That's a rich one.
The kicker's the worst.
Jayden Daniels.
That's going to be an issue too.
Jayden Daniels yesterday scored 28 fantasy points and he didn't throw a touchdown.
Yeah.
Think about that.
I was going to say he had a great fantasy.
Wait until he starts throwing touchdowns.
They're in love with him.
What about
look.
Hey.
Well, I don't know who's going to throw touchdowns to.
What about Anthony Richardson's fantasy line?
He's a mega star.
He had 9 completions and had a bomb
he's a
fantasy
superstar
day.
is what he is.